I wouldn't be there without VetComm. I mean, that's the absolute truth, because like I said, I just didn't know what to do, and I just felt satisfied. I'm just gonna, leave it as is. So you guys really kind of held my hand through the process and got me here. This is not about, getting to a certain percentage or getting a certain amount of money. This has always been about, here's what occurred to me, here's my record, here's all my information, and VA, you adjudicate that as you see fit. But I think a lot of veterans are underserved because they don't know the process, and there's a lot of services and a lot of benefits out there that disabled veterans should have available to them, and they don't. So I think VetComm has done an amazing job of getting me there, and I've referred some friends, and I got another referral I got to do today. So yeah, you guys do it right. I think you figured out the way to do it, and you cracked the code. So, I mean, I think I'm probably like many guys. I was coming up to my time, end of my time, big, fat, thick medical record. Didn't really know much about what the VA offered, honestly. It's not something that really most guys talk about, during our time. A friend told me about it, and he said, you should look into the VA disability program. Again, probably a little skeptical at first, which I think most guys are. It's like, well, I'm fine, I'm not, but I had some serious injuries. I had most of my initial claim was back related, helicopter pilot, so a lot of hard landings type of stuff, a lot of compression, which I think is pretty common. But I took their advice, and I went down to just a local veteran service organization here in San Diego. Brought my my medical record with me, and it was just a walk in, wait around for a little while, grab a guy, sit down at his desk. Super nice, very helpful. I think he was a retired, senior chief or something. Went through my record, page by page. It was a decent process. I signed some forms. They, wrote up the claim. This is 10, 15 years ago. This is probably about 2010, so 13, 14 years ago. And off I went, and I just sat home. I didn't look on any web portals or anything. I just waited for the mail, and a big yellow packet showed up about 6 months later, and opened it up and read through it, and okay, there you have a disability of the following nature, and it was great. I was happy. That was kind of my whole point, was like, I'm going to give them my record, let them do their process, and we'll go from there. And that was pretty much it. And I never really thought much about it again. I would get my check monthly from the VA, and I was pretty happy. I was over 50%, so I knew I'd get concurrent retirement pay, so I was pretty satisfied. But over the course of the next couple years, my back continued to get worse. I actually had to have another surgery, and some other things also continued to get worse. So someone suggested I look into it again, and I kind of was a little bit unsure what to do, honestly. But I went back to that same veteran service organization, sat down with the gentleman, and showed him all my new surgical records and doctor's notes and all the other stuff. And same kind of process, but he said something that kind of worried me. And he said, yep, we could do this, I'll take care of it, but just know that once you kind of open the door, they could lower your claim, which I guess is an ultimate possibility. But at that point I was like, I'm at 70%, I'm over 50, I don't need this, so I just didn't want to mess with it. So I just kind of didn't file at that point, took all my stuff, went home, threw it in the drawer, and never thought about it again. And then probably about a year ago, I actually just got what I would say a random email from VetComm saying that's one of my friends had referred me. And I just, it was perfect timing. I looked through it. I went on your website, and I made a call. And here I am today. This is it's not even a full year. It's probably been about 9 or maybe 10 months since I made that initial call. And the process has been amazing. The service has been fantastic. Everybody I've talked to or met with has been, top-notch, professional, knowledgeable. And Angel asked if I'd be willing to sit down and talk with you guys, and so here I am, happy to do it. So again, that initial rating, it was mostly my back. That was the kind of the bulk of it. But I had some other little claims that 10%, that stuff. So my ultimate claim was 70%. 70% out of the gate there, which again is great. You know, I mean, there was no complaints. That was my philosophy the whole time, is like, I'm going to give the VA my records. They're going to make some decision, and I'll be happy with that. But again, you know, the initial rating involved back and surgeries that I had, surgery one that I had. Since that time, I had another surgery, and things have, you know, gotten worse. The other piece of the puzzle for me was not really understanding how the VA adjudicates things. In other words, I was like, well, I had a second surgery. Do they now consider me healed or fixed? You know, so it's a little bit of uncertainty of what they look at and how they do it. So 70% of the time, like I said, I was very satisfied with that. I just kept it for those 11 or 12 years. When I called VetComm, spoke to, again, I'm not sure your exact, you know, procedures, but it was a salesperson, I believe. Super friendly, helpful, kind of explained the process to me. And I said, yeah, let's do it. You know, it was just, for the first time in that 10 or so years, I felt comfortable and sort of at ease about the process. I'm like, you know, these guys know what they're doing. They are way more knowledgeable than I am about the process. Let's see what we can do. So worked with him on the front ends, getting kind of signed up and all that kind of stuff. So another one thing I really like about your service is your cost structure. Don't need to get into all the details about it, but you know, a lot of other organizations take a huge percentage of whatever you make. And not to say that that's not fair, but I really just like your model. You know, one-time fee, and we're going to take care of you. And you know, to me, it was super fair and very affordable. He hooked me up with my initial claims specialist was Sarah. She was or is fantastic. Again, it's, you know, we did a video call, obviously, and so, you know, you kind of just cold call meeting the person for the first time, but right out of the gate, you could tell she was super knowledgeable, very friendly, and knew the process. So again, the thing that I really liked about the way you guys do it is, you know, the VA now has their web portal, so I'm up on the web portal, she's up on the web portal. We do a little screen sharing, and you know, she gave me a few options based on my comfort level. You know, you want to share your screen? Do you want to just give me your password and I'll log in and I can do stuff? I was more than happy to do that. You know, like, here, you take control. And you know, she went in and reviewed everything to date. We had I don't know, I think the initial call was probably an hour, if I recall, maybe a little longer. You know, I gave her my whole history and what I was thinking, and the whole time she was, you know, taking notes and writing things down. And she goes, okay, here's what I think we should do, and we'll ask for an increase here, we'll ask for an increase here, we'll ask for, you know, this. And again, not really understanding the process at that point is like, okay, I guess we'll have a second call, or I guess she'll send me the forms and I'll fill it out. And by the end of the hour, she's like, okay, we're all set. Let me just review some things with you. So the whole time that we've been talking, she had been, you know, inputting the claim, if you will. We reviewed everything to make sure all the statements were factual and whatnot. And by the end of the hour and a half, you know, we had submitted the new claim. Then she walked me through the VA web portal to show me, you know, how you can follow the claim, and also how to input any information or medical records that I had, which is great because, again, I did have a ton of that stuff. So I spent a few days after that uploading things, and then I got notified about compensation and pension medical appointments. So the VA sets up, as you know, I guess they're third-party contracted medical facilities to do the compensation and pension appointments. Again, VetComm did a fantastic job, first of all, contacting me, telling me to expect that, and it would probably come from a third party. You might not recognize the number. Once I had those set up, then I had another call with Sarah, and she kind of walked me through the process on what to expect at those appointments, which again was super helpful. Most of my initial stuff, like I mentioned, was orthopedic. So that's a whole, you know, interesting beast, if you will, how the VA does that. I mean, it's a lot of measuring and range of motion and this kind of stuff. And what I really found super helpful was Sarah explained to me, most of the time you go and see a doctor, you're in there and you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna push through it and I'm gonna try to show them how far I can move my leg, or I'm not gonna worry about the pain, I'm just gonna push through it. And that's not what we're supposed to be doing. This is to show them where is that limit of your range of motion, where do you start feeling the pain. So you have to, once you understand that, it's at least for me, it made it a whole lot easier to understand what they were looking for in those appointments. Sarah also referred me to your website where you have all those tutorial videos, which are also fantastic because they're generally short. They're very categorized, right? So it's like orthopedic, stomach issues, things like that. And those, again, just super helpful to review before the appointment, to give you an idea of what to expect and how best to answer the questions that they're going to be asking you. So I found that process, again, super, super helpful. After that initial go around, it was pretty quick, honestly. The process from start to finish was only a few months. I think because it was an existing claim, they were all increases, I had all my information. And so I went from that initial 70% and I moved up to 90% there, just based on doing the increase from the original claim. So once I got the award, actually, again, VetComm kept following up with me, set up another appointment with Sarah, and she went through the whole thing, word by word. And again, the interesting thing there is, as you know, the VA tells you, we gave you this percentage based on X, Y, and Z, and we didn't make you higher because you didn't meet these particular, gates or milestones. So Sarah explained all that to me. We went through it again, and then we talked about some other additional things. And again, this is another thing that was super helpful. There's not only claims, but there's secondary conditions that come from primary claims, which I had never really thought about. So we started looking at some of the secondary things. We filed another claim at that setting and went through the exact same process. And I went from, I think the original I was 89%, so they rounded it up to 90. And then after that second round, I'm currently at 93%. So I'm right there. And then I've had, when I had that second review, Sarah was not available, so they put me in with Angel, who again, also fantastic, super knowledgeable, very friendly. And she went over the same process, went through everything, and we did another couple secondary looking things, and filed another claim. So I currently have a pending claim right now, just waiting to get a decision on. So to say it's life-changing I don't mean to overstate it, but we work so hard in the military doing what we do, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But it's nice, not only the monthly pay, but also I've gotten a whole lot more involved in the VA medical care side of the house. They are separate, but and it's just been fantastic. I mean, the VA I know has had some issues over the years, but my experience so far has been fantastic. I'm kind of using the VA as my primary care now, and the services are really excellent. They pay for all my medications and things like that. But to get a monthly check, from the government, tax-free, is fantastic. I wouldn't be there without VetComm. I mean, that's just the absolute truth. Because, like I said, I just didn't know what to do, and I just felt satisfied. I'm just gonna, leave it as is. So you guys really kind of held my hand through the process and got me here. And again, I have a pending claim. I wish I had news for you to tell you, but I mean, like I said, I'm at 93%. And the other thing I would say too, just a philosophical thing. This is not about getting to a certain percentage or getting a certain amount of money. This has always been about, again, here's what occurred to me, here's my record, here's all my information, and VA, you adjudicate that as you see fit. But I think a lot of veterans are underserved because they don't know the process, and there's a lot of services and a lot of benefits out there that disabled veterans should have available to them, and they don't. So I think VetComm has done an amazing job of getting me there, and I've referred some friends, and I got another referral I got to do today. So yeah, you guys do it right. I think you figured out the way to do it, and you cracked the code. I almost don't want to do the math on that, because I will know how much I left on the table. I have I consider myself to be very lucky, very blessed, no complaints. But go back 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, 2 kids in college, a couple $1,000s extra a month would have been huge, So, but that's water under the bridge. Moving forward, writing a check to VetComm for $1,000 or whatever the fee is, it is a lot, right? And it might be overwhelming at the time. That $1,000 has been paid back, tenfold in the last couple months for me. So return on investment was fantastic. So from that perspective, I would have no hesitation to do it again. As far as the willingness to ask for help, it's so true. I have conversations all the time with friends, veterans that have done the claim process, some that have not. And you're absolutely right. And I think even some non-veterans, if you sit down and have a conversation with initially, they might be a little bit confused. Well, what do you mean you're a disabled veteran? Like, you're not in a wheelchair, you're not missing a limb, to your point. And my answer to them and to my friends always is, you can't see my back. I've had 2 surgeries. My back was injured. I had some issues. And then I'll take that another step forward. You can't see mental health either, right? You can't look at a guy and say he has PTSD or doesn't. You can't look at a person and say he has depression or anxiety or doesn't. So those are things that's your personal journey. But the VA has a process for that. And the VA not only will compensate you, but they'll care for you. And, those 2 things go hand in hand. So, again, VetComm, private organization, but you're helping the veterans kind of cross that bridge, if you will. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you guys if I wasn't passionate about it. I really appreciate everything you've done. And like I said, I'm gonna refer a friend today.